Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My dear students of MA final year, how you folks are doing? Today I will first recite the poem Song of Myself, section 1, and later I will tell you the interpretation and critical appreciation of section 1. And let me first recite section 1. I celebrate myself and sing myself, and what I assume, you shall assume. For every atom belonging to me, as good belongs to you. I love and invite my soul. I lean and loaf at my ease, observing a sphere of summer grass. My tongue, every atom of my blood, formed from this soil, this air, born here of parents, born here from parents the same, and their parents the same. I now, 37 years old, in perfect health begin, hoping to cease not till death. Grades and schools in avians. Retiring back a while, sufficed at what they are, but never forgotten. I harbor for good or bad. I permit to speak at every hazard. Nature without check, with original energy. And now, my dear students, I will begin telling you the interpretation and critical appreciation. And you, the students of MA class, are matured and experienced, and the lines of the poem is very simple and very easy to understand, and that is why you will understand the poem by taking help from the annotations. And now let me tell you the interpretation and critical appreciation of the poem. This epoch-making opening section of the Song of Myself introduces the poet's epic Lips of Grass. What the poet is to deal with it is depicted here. The poet considers no other subject as prominent to deal with as one's own self. A reader of Whitman knows this. This is not the end purpose of the poet. While talking of himself, he embraces all selves. The individual becomes a whole entity, inculcating the entire mankind within itself. He rises to mystic heights, taking the reader along with him. The different sections are the varied steps which uplift the reader's thinking to the profound thoughts of the poet. This opening section has an epical touch. In stating the theme of the epic, he will sing about himself. He identifies himself with the others, and hence he will sing automatically about others also. He assumes that his beliefs, his ideas will be there in others also. The poet thus establishes a friendly relationship between himself and the others. After this firm foundation of self-awareness and assumption, and the within of all individual are alike, the poet says, I love and invite my soul, I lean and loaf at my ease, observing a sphere of summer grass. He invites his soul to recline in the arms of nature and observe her minutely. He begins to observe and appreciate everything in nature, starting from a blade of grass. The sphere of grass offers several suggestions to the poet. It enthralls him to see the greatness of God, who also made it while creating many other bigger things of life. The grass seemed to throw open the gates leading to the road of mysticism. The poet travels on it. The idea of mysticism recalls William Blake's line to the tiger. He who made the lamb made thee. There is an autobiographical touch When he talks of himself, he says he is 37 years old. When the self-realization dawned on him, he proclaims he is made up of the soil and the air he breathes. Not only he, his ancestors were also made up of it. He considers nature as the best teacher. This reminds one of Wordsworth's lifelong attachment and dedication to nature. Wordsworth wanted to maintain the same kind of childhood appreciation of nature throughout his lifetime. In a similar tone, Whitman says he would like to be healthy and active throughout his lifetime. He is of the opinion that schools and educational institutions have their way in molding personalities, but he does not want those dogmas to hamper him from direct communion with nature. He wishes his souls to be in harmony with the soul of nature. Though there is diversity in nature, there is yet a harmony in it. He wants man to appreciate this. The I of this section introduces not only the poet but the modern man, the American, the democratic citizen. He sings of himself and celebrates the entire humanity in that self. The grass symbolizes separateness in unity, a sort of individual identity in unity, which is the basic essential of democracy. The I of the poem weaves a web of associations. The poem is the search for the achievement of a truly living identity. The I is capable of a whole existence and also of standing apart, observing both its own complications and those of the world. The poet in a light happy mood introduces the theme of his epoch-making poetry in this opening section. James E. Miller aptly said, "In Song of Myself, the poet magnifies himself, but the self-celebration is to serve as a signal for each man to discover his own divine selfhood. Song of Myself represents an awakening of the self, a coming to consciousness for the first time of the real meaning of being alive and in the flesh, of seeing, of hearing, of tasting and feeling. This awakening to consciousness penetrates beyond the senses. It dives deep within its source and it soars far beyond, and it discovers secrets and uncovers mysteries. The eternity and infinity of the self, the glories of the body and soul, the completion of life through death, when the poet says, "I now 37 years old in perfect health begin." He is purposefully juxtaposing his physical birth with his new birth in the identification for the first time of his selfhood, a birth into a new consciousness miraculously brought about by leaning and loafing and observing a sphere of summer grass. The grass becomes a graphic representation of Whitman's central concept of democracy, individuality in balance with mass, distinguished singleness in harmony with massive grouping. The sphere of summer grass symbolizes the miracle of the universe. It launches the poet on a mystic journey. The silent sphere of grass unravels the mystery of the universe. My dear students of MA final year, I hope that you have understood the first section of this wonderful array of poems, Song of Myself, and with these few words, I would like to conclude my lecture for today. Thank you very much for listening.